Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, King in Black, issue number 2. Was this comic book any good? I mean, it's thick, it's got some weight to it and gravity. Here's a $4.99 cover price. A lot of stuff could happen in these pages, but did it? That's the big question on the table right now. We're going to get into all that stuff after we give credit where credit's due. Okay, so you may have heard Donny Cates is actually the writer in this. Ryan Stegman is the penciler. J.P. Meyer on inks and Frank Martin doing the colors. VC's Clayton Cowles on letters. Stegman, Meyer, and Martin doing the cover. A whole bunch of variant covers out there. And this issue is called Fall. See, I read the previous issue of Venom, and I can see how that would be called Fall, because the whole thing, actually falling, because the whole issue is just Eddie falling. And this issue shouldn't be called Fall. It should be called, like, Fell? Landed? Splat? You can call it Splat. There's a lot of things you can call it, but Fall? Not sure why. Harping on this title a lot. You think maybe I don't have anything else to talk about with this comic book? Let's put that theory to the test, shall we? So, basically, Eddie crash lands and his back is broken. He's in all sorts of like terrible shape right now, and Spider-Man shows up. And Spider-Man, for some reason, with all his years of activity, doesn't know what to do at this point. Supposed to be like at one time he was considered the 11th smartest person in the world, something or something to that effect, whatever. Like he was considered pretty damn smart, right? And now he just shows up and I don't know what to do. Somebody help! You start like there's monsters everywhere, and you start screaming, drawing attention to yourself. The only way that Spider-Man is effective is by moving, 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 and he's just standing there, over crouched, poised over top of a freaking body, and screaming and drawing attention to himself. I'm sorry, is he a little kid? Because look, you don't have to be a freaking soldier to have seen pictures in the National Geographic of some kid screaming in the middle of a freaking war field. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to say it, but that's pretty much what I saw here. And Peter Parker hasn't really been written as a kid in the mainstream comics for a little bit of a spell now. We haven't seen that in forever, and there's a reason for it, because he's not a freaking kid. That's what we got Miles Morales for now. If you had Miles doing this, that would have made a lot more sense. You know what I'm saying? If you would have had Frogman doing this, for crying out loud, it would have made a hell of a lot more sense. But Peter? Come on, man. And he's literally standing. I'm surprised he wasn't like holding him and shaking his fist at the dragons in the sky and Null and all that stuff, because oh my god, what have you done? Like it's Gwen Stacy. I mean, for crying out loud, like I know that Eddie is blonde, but he's not Gwen Stacy blonde. Like he's not a replacement for Gwen Stacy. This didn't work. This really didn't work. It couldn't have gotten any worse than that, though, right? Not only did it get worse, but that scene got worse. Because all of a sudden, the symbioticized monsters show up. You got Captain America there. You got the Thing. You got Cyclops. Like, you got a bunch of different characters there, and they've been venomized or nullized. They've been nullified. Oh my god, they've been nullified with a KN, right? They've been nullified. Anyway, so they show up and they're just sitting like Cyclops shot an optic beam. You know what I'm saying? You get to see that really quick. It's like, oh yeah, he dodged the optic beam. Okay, yeah, cool. That's fine. It's not like it's an Omega effect or anything like that. Yeah, you can dodge it. It's fine. But afterwards, they just stand there, all like in a pose. And he's like, oh my god, Eddie, we gotta get up and we gotta get out of here. Like he's actually talking. He's actually talking, and these monsters are standing right there. And he's just like, there's just talking. No, wait, it gets even better, because the Human Torch shows up, and he's like, all right, guys, I'm here, and I'm gonna save the day, and I'm gonna do a Nova Flame. No, Johnny, you can't do a Nova Flame, because you'll be weak afterwards. Don't be stupid. Come with us and live. Come with me if you want to live. Like, sorry, dude, you are not freaking Michael Biehn. You're Peter Parker, not Michael Biehn. Wow. Wow. And there's like an actual conversation. No, they're not affected by heat like you might think that they are. Oh, so that means that the guys inside won't be hurt. Okay, well, that's really good to know. I'm gonna know that. What the funk am I reading here? I'm sorry, are these guys meanwhile still over here? Like just, post Or are they just posing and stuff like that? What the hell am I reading here? They're just standing there. Meanwhile, these guys are just yep, 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 yep. Oh, I'm hurt. My back is broken. Gwen Stacy, help! Yep, 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 yep. What the frig? It's just the opening pages of the book. It's just the opening pages of the book. Hey Pete, make sure that you say that I say something cool. You know I have a reputation to keep. Like, is this Final Fantasy? Like Final Fantasy 7 or 2 or whatever the hell it is? Like all these Final Fantasy games, these turn-based RPG games, where it's like you do a move, the computer does a move, and then it's like your move. There's no timer. There's no timer. Maybe they put a timer in there, but it's like it's turn based. It's like it's your move. We'll wait for you. Like this is a game of chess without the timer. Yeah, I'll come back tomorrow and make my move. What the frick is going on? They're just waiting there. My God, this was terrible. This was terrible. They're just waiting. Turn based. So then we see. I really wish that we could get Blade, like an actual written version of Blade that people would follow. If they would just keep Wesley Snipes in mind all the time, something to that effect, because like Blade's standing there having a conversation. He looks calm and cool and really, but meanwhile, like Xavier and especially Magneto, they look so distressed. It's like, he's Blade is the one asking for things, and the other guys like Xavier and Magneto are like like that, like what are you doing? And Blade is just like calmly talking. Yeah, but if you just sense such a okay, I'll wait for you to finish what you're gonna say. You're yelling at me. That's fine. I'll wait. And then he goes and he kills all the vampires to get to Dracula and say, "I need you and your army, not that one, to come and help me out because like." I feel like everything took place in a room with a couple of little side panels where there was no travel time, just the same characters are talking, and then you see some, like, they just teleported to these different places and then started, hey, I need help with this and this. Hey, I know about the Black Tide, Namor. I need your help with such and such. The Namor scene. Bruh, I know there's a lot of people who don't like Namor. That's fine. I understand. With the way that, his most advertised stuff is put out there, I understand why people don't like Namor. I really do. It's those deeper reads, those understanding of what Everett was doing back in the day. That's the stuff that I look at and I'm just like, damn, this was incredible writing. And that's why this is such an amazing character. And then here he shows up, and there's like one good scene with him, and go figure, it's an action scene where he's smacking his trident on the floor, and that's just where Stegman shines, is him being able to do these crazy either horror or action scenes. Imagine if it was like horrific horror. Imagine like Jack Kirby drawing Cthulhu. Be like, because that's how he sounds. I feel like the best part with Namor there was just, one of the best scenes in the entire comic book was when Stegman actually got to draw some action, because there really wasn't that much action, because even the action that happened was massively subdued because, oh look, it's just a cutscene. So we get to see horrible segues. Here's Iron Man. Tony Stark walks up and he closes armor, visor, and he's just like, okay, we have to go and I'm going to get a dragon. It has to be a dragon because they're stronger. And Dylan pipes in, yeah, they're stronger. Okay, so I'm going to go get a dragon. I'll be right back. He goes and it's like, extremis. Yeah, okay, cool. You brought back extremis with a single word in a freaking panel of a cutscene of a comic. That's like, there's nothing to write home about that. There's not a single thing here. There's not a single part of this where I look at him just like, holy crap, he brought extremists. Oh, that's a great idea. No, it's like a cutscene. You can't get excited over a cutscene. It doesn't happen. He just shows up and, bruh, Hurrah! So he gets a dragon, and then we get into, before he comes back, and like later, it's just a cutscene. It's just a couple of panels of him going out, flying into a dragon. The dragon doesn't bother to chew. He just, the typical tropey thing where it's like giant dragons just, you're gonna fly at me right into my mouth. Okay, I'm stupid. Chomp, you're not getting out now. But like, it was this guy that was just flying towards you and shooting and stuff like that. He's probably got some kind of, and you're not even gonna try and chew. You're just gonna like. He didn't even try to swallow. I mean, like, let's just be realistic for a half a second. If this giant dragon wanted to swallow, think about how the esophagus works. If he wanted to swallow him, I mean, is he going to be like that little popcorn kernel that just gets stuck in your teeth and won't go? He wasn't even in the teeth, for crying out loud. This, I want this to have been so much better. There's just one problem with that. It wasn't. It really wasn't. He's just a good youth extremist. And then all of a sudden Tony Stark starts to get taken over. And he's just like, I can feel there are thousands of voices. They're all screaming at the same time. I don't know what to do. Was that really annoying? Was that annoying, you waiting for me to just spit it the hell out? It kind of was for me too, reading it. I got to the point where Donny Cates keeps on making the characters talk like that. And I got to the point, I'm just like, you know what, I'm not going to read this anymore. I'm just going to skim it really quick. I'm going to get the gist of what's being said, because I can't keep on reading a story where there are like multiple ... They shut the frick up. I got so tired of the stupid ... tropes. That's not how people talk. And a better, people are gonna get pissed off at me saying this, but mind you, I taught English at the university level. I've been teaching English since around 2011, 2010. I think 2010 is when I actually started teaching English. All right, university professor teaching English. Yes, it freaking frustrates the hell out of me. I've got red pens out the wazoo for this guy with this. There are better ways. It's like when someone keeps on using a word over and over and over again, and you just want to grab a thesaurus and beat him unconscious with it, and hopefully he wakes up and absorbs some of the knowledge that you literally beat into him. It's a thesaurus. Find other words to use. In this particular case, there are other ways to do this. Incorporate dash dash. Incorporate the idea of just not having them repeat themselves all the times. There are there's this thing called a comma. I'm not sure if anybody learned how to use that back in the early primary school days. Like, for the love of God, Jesus, fuck. There are better ways to do the exact same thing. It's like a freaking hamster just chewing on the freaking cage. You're not going to get through the cage. Smarten up. Find something better to do with your time. Oh my God, here's a wood chip. Enjoy. This guy is just constant. And Chip Zdarsky used to do this too for the longest time. He stopped. For the most part, he stopped. This guy, though, like, you can't give this guy any criticism. I'm so frustrated constantly reading. I can't. You all know Bendis speak, right? I swear to God, we're this damn close to Kate speak, where it's just constant stuttering. Okay, I'm remembering now that he actually said he had a problem with stuttering when he was younger. So I'm going to apologize in advance and point out I'm not here to make a personal attack like that. That's not who I am. But literally, the character is nothing but stuttering when they're freaked out. That's not how most people are. It's simply not. This, like, dude, Kate speak at this point. It's getting to that point where that's how I'm going to start referring to everything. King in Black, issue number 2. You heard it. Well, you've heard me say something to this effect before, but now I'm actually labeling it Kate speak, so I don't have to go into that diatribe again. There's so much about this book that could have been better. The problem is, not a single one of those avenues. No, listen to me, seriously. Not a single one of those avenues could be used. And make no mistake, it's still written in a way where I was able to read the whole thing, skim towards the end because the stuttering was starting to get really freaking frustrating. But I swear to God, I got to the point where I'm just like, I'm not going to remember anything that happened in this book. No, seriously, if you want, tomorrow, test me. Test me, see if I'm wrong. 24 hours after reading this book, tell me a single memorable thing that happened in this book. Challenge accepted, I hope. Because I have the feeling that I'm going to be winning that bet. It's one thing to make an entertaining read, which this was. Make no mistake, this really was entertaining. There were a lot of really cool things in here that I'm sorry, if you're writing a Venom book and an event book based around the Venom character, you've got plenty of time, plenty of space to get out this story. Unless, of course, you don't actually have a story. Look, the part where he uses Jane Foster, immediately I'm thinking, my God, man, I know this guy loves Jason Aaron, but for crying out loud, like, the hero worship needs to stop at some point, because we're not all on the same page. Not all of us worship Jason Aaron. I personally, I could go with less Jason Aaron in the comics. We have been getting a lot less Jason Aaron in the comics, and I've been feeling better about it. Jason Aaron, mind you, who's pretty much at this point just sucking up to, or not sucking up, the wrong choice of words. I don't know, hero worshipping Scott Snyder. Like, his Justice League, the same thing. It's just, here's 1,000 things that I want to do that I could put throughout the entire event, but I'm just going to throw them all in this issue because I've got 1,000 other things I could throw at you too. And it's like, dude, it's called overwhelming. It's too much. We can't like fall into a story. Could you imagine if Mad Bomb, I'm talking the original Mad Bomb, Jack Kirby, finally returning to Marvel Comics, jumping on the character that he created with this Joe Simon guy, jumping on the Captain America book and saying, hey, let's go. And the first story he jumped on, he made it, it was called Mad Bomb. And he's just like, let's go, baby. Imagine if that was all just like one issue. There's no mystery. There's no intensity. There's no rise and fall. No crescendo, no fall. This issue was called Fall. There was no crescendo. There was no rise. There was nothing. Just splat. Imagine if Kirby just threw everything in one single issue. And mind you, I'm specifically stating Kirby and Lee, because it's not just the idea of, okay, well, what about if it stretches too far? The problem is that that's exactly what is happening. This is stretching too far while having too much thrown at us. What exactly happened in this comic book? You had a great image by Stegman with the cloaked figure of death coming down. I'd rather seen Hela, personally, but it's cool. You know, the hooded figure of death. I'm cool. Mistress Death is there. Bang. Grim Reaper-ish. Okay? Let's go. It was a beautiful scene. I can't read this comic and say that a single thing that happened in here was memorable. Blade shows up. Hey, Dracula, I need you to let me borrow your army. A different army. I just killed that one. The idea of everybody having to rally together. Great concept. And it could be done in cutscenes. It could. You know where else it could be done? It could be done in the ancillary issues. It could be done in all the tie-ins. It could be done something like that. How about a Blade one-shot where he has to go and find Dracula? He has to get to Dracula first. How about, I know about the Black Tide. Okay, could you tell everybody else about the Black Tide? What's going on? Oh, there's the Namor book that has nothing whatsoever to do with the Namor book. I know they keep on saying it does, but no, it really doesn't. I read it. I reviewed it. It was not good. The new revelations in King in Black 2. There were no new revelations in this book. There was a single panel where it's like, I know about something that Namor doesn't think I know about. It's called the Black Tide. Shut up. That was stupid. That was pure 100% stupid, and it revealed nothing. Don't tell me that this is gaslighting at this point. Why are you making me hit you? What is this? Why are we the abused spouse in this relationship? Don't freaking gaslight me. There was no revelation in this book regarding Namor, or anybody else for that matter. Use tie-ins better. Be smarter about writing these comic books. But it feels like, no, we're not going to do that. I refuse to do that. Guys, at the end of the day, I got to read this whole thing. And I enjoyed enough of when I was reading through it that I finished and I was just like, not bad. The problem is that then I thought about it. What kind of a regime do you have where you have to say, don't think about it, don't think. Thinking is bad. Just like it. And that's pretty much what I've experienced with this. The more you think about it, the more you mull this book over, you don't even have to get critical with the book like I am. Just the more you think about it, what single part of this book is ever going to be memorable? What part of this book is going to make you say, I promise you, a year from now, it's not even going to take that long, but a year from now, when you go and collect all these together and you find this issue, and it's like, oh, King of Black issue number 2. Yeah, what happened in that book? I can't remember. That's probably not the way that you want your comic book legacy to go. I know that Cates has this big cult thing. Well, I don't think anybody's in the cult anymore. But the idea of, like, I know that there's this whole big thing, and it's like, I think that he's, again, this might be a Brian Michael Bendis thing, and I'd really hate for him to go that route. But what did I say right before? I'm not a genius in this regard, okay? But what did I say in the Superman book? Right before the freaking before everybody just dropped the book pretty much, except the people who wanted to keep on hating the book, or the people who DC Comics was sending the book to and said, you got to give good reviews to this. And by the way, DC Comics does send books to people and then harp on them afterwards. You gave it a bad review. Threatening by insinuation, implying the threat of taking the book away, not sending you free copies of the book anymore, early previews. They do that. I'm telling you right now, ask around the people who actually get their books in advance. They do that. The only people who will say they don't do that, I'm sure, are the people giving these DC Comics books 10 out of 10 all the time. They have no reputation. They have none. And I'm just here to tell you the flat out truth. I really don't care if somebody gets up on the comment section and starts, screaming, you just don't like this because... No, don't try and psychoanalyze me. I was very concise, very detailed about all the problems that I have with this book. All of them. You want to psychoanalyze something, go psychoanalyze yourself while you're still freaking towing coattails. Because at this point, I don't see the allure of Donny Cates in this book. What I see is a pre-fall Brian Michael Bendis. Bendis, the guy who gave us Ultimate Spider-Man. Bendis, the guy who essentially started the Ultimate Universe. Forget about the fall and all the other nonsense that people did afterwards. He gave us that universe. Bendis, who gave us Miles Morales. Bendis, who gave us Jessica Jones. Bendis, who, he made Scarlet Witch more interesting than she's ever been in her very, very lengthy... Debuted in issue number 4 of the original X-Men series by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Very storied career, and nobody has made her more interesting than Brian Michael Bendis. WandaVision is about that run. The Avengers Disassembled and all that stuff. Bendis has brought us some of the best comic books that we've gotten while he was in Marvel. And then Bendis went to DC. And then Bendis essentially, like the love that anybody could have possibly had for him died a horrible Bendis-speak death. And then Bendis went and said, but there are a lot of people who are still reading the comic books, and half of them say they like it, and half of them don't. That's because, 20 times that number stopped reviewing your comic books because they didn't like it, and they didn't want to just say that you've lost it. So the ones that remained are either the Comicsgate scumbag assholes who just like to bash everything that they come across and only like the things that propagate their own agenda of whatever the hell their agenda is. And then the people who get the comics free from DC, and they fall for the threats of, we're going to have to stop sending you comics now. Because I know people who have the comic stuff. You know, us YouTubers, we actually talk to each other. Not all of us, but a lot of us, a whole lot of us, really talk to each other. I'm sorry, brah. It's true. And I know people who've had the DC books taken away from them before. So it's not a good look for DC. And they're hoping to keep that stuff low key. I'm not here to keep anything low key per se. I'm here just talk in general, and this book just simply was not good. I did not enjoy this book. So it was good when I read it. The second I thought about it, it was gone. And I really hope that Cates doesn't go the way of Bendis. But already I've got a Cates speak, methodology for the way that he writes. And I'm not liking it. The guy's got amazing, you could see it. The problem is actually taking some of those ideas and letting them breathe. I just want to see them breathe. I don't want to see them exasperate. I do want to see them breathe. This is more like if you're underwater and you get a major leg cramp. You get up for just a second. You try and gulp and gasp as quickly as you can before you go back under as you're trying to make your way to the edge of the pool or to the shore. That's what this feels more like. Here's just 1,000 ideas. I'm going to weigh you down. You're going to, wow, over every single one of them, but none of them are actually going to stick. Meanwhile, one cool idea that actually gets to breathe and stick, you got the Jack Kirby and Stan Lee days. That's all I got for you guys. Comicbookuniversity.com, and like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.